All right, so here goes. We'll cut to the chase. As you can see, I have my best friends behind me, always looking over me. So, regarding my health, major revelations have come in the last 2-3 months. Um, let me preface this by saying I may get emotional. I'm pretty raw with my words. I've never really held back in saying what it is that I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. I may curse, but this is me, and this is how I choose to communicate. And anybody that watches this, if you have questions, you can always text or message me on whatever platform. I thought this was better than doing a Facebook Live thing, so this is the route I'm going to choose to go. I'll tell you off the bat, I'm going to do my best to start from day one and bring it to the current time. If there's pieces that I forget along the way and then remember and need to jump back, I'll do that. I'll try to be as clear, as descriptive as possible. If there's anything that you want to ask, you can ask me. I've been pretty open, especially over the last few years, regarding my physical health, my emotional well-being, and promoting that you know we shouldn't be as closed off as we are when it comes to how you're feeling emotionally. I think that does more damage than it does good in protecting those feelings or being ashamed to share them. And I only say that out of personal experience. So when I was younger, I could recall being about 5, 6 years old and my mother making a comment and saying that it was pointless to take me out to eat. You might as well just throw the money down the toilet. Fast forward to about early to mid-teen years, I had the responsibility of taking care of my younger sister and then my younger brother 2 years later. I did that every day after I got off the school bus. Ironically, today is my sister's birthday. She was born in 1991, so I was 12. My brother was born 2 years later. At that point, I was 14. It was my job to get off the school bus. My mother left for like a night shift job. My stepfather was still at work until 6, 7 o'clock. So it was me who took care of my brother and sister, changing shit diapers, feeding them, entertaining them, putting them to sleep. I love my stepfather to death. He's the only, I guess, father figure, if you want to say, that I've known. But today we have a relationship that's more of like really, really close friends than it is father and son. And that's okay. I'll take that because the other option, it makes my stomach turn to even call him a father. But my birth father is useless, invisible for a lot of my life. And so that was my early to mid-teen years that was dealing with, taking care of and de facto parent, I guess. All the while having issues with attendance with school. having issues with how I got to school because I couldn't. I didn't take the school bus often, but when I did, there was always some level of fear because of what my stomach situation was going to be like. Mid to late teen years, it got worse. Meaning my stomach situation got worse. When I got my license, that's when I realized, like, you know, the things I had to do, the steps I had to take, I no longer could be in a passenger seat in a car. I had to be in control of the car because I knew how I felt, and if I felt a certain way, that I needed to, find the nearest place where I needed to find a bathroom. I knew every stop along every road, and it became that became my normal. That became like this is just what my life is, and I have to accept it. But then I started to reflect, to years prior and the comments, that my mother made. And I thought, well, why wasn't anything done sooner? And that could be said with a number of topics in my life. Why weren't things taken care of sooner? But that's a conversation for another day. My grandparents, my brother, at least one of my cousins, all deal with some type of gastrointestinal issues, diagnosed, undiagnosed, whatever. Ranges from ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, colon cancer. If I'm leaving something out, I'm leaving something out. But it's not an uncommon thing in my family. But by the time I was 17, 18, 19, I knew something was wrong. So in 1999, I went to a gastroenterologist in Toms River. Went through the process of different medications, oral medications. Nothing worked. That's when I first had, first procedures done. I think my count up to this past February, I think I'm at 52 colonoscopies and endoscopies. It sounds fucking absurd. And the truth is, it's fucking absurd. But in 1999 was the first time I went, and I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Given medication, didn't do a damn thing. In fact, my childhood best friend and I still joke about the medication that I was given. It was called Asacol, ASACOL. Why a medication for a gastroenterologist or gastro disease, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is called Asacol? I don't know. But that's what it was. Didn't work. Change in my diet. Don't eat certain things. Don't eat dairy. Okay. I did all that stuff. It didn't work. Fast forward to 2002, 2003 range. I moved to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I didn't move for any reason other than I needed a change of scenery for my own peace, for my own well-being, and New Jersey never was, and it still isn't a peaceful place for me, for a lot of reasons that don't have to do with my health, but it's a place I dread going to. And the second I get there, I feel a certain way that I don't want to feel. So moved to North Carolina, and my girlfriend, soon to be wife at the time, and I found a new doctor for me at University of North Carolina Hospital, Dr. Evan Dellin. I'll never forget him. If you happen to look him up online, he looks like Tom Green. Tom Green, a goofball comedian, whatever you want to call him, that had a show on MTV. But he treated me like family. Like how he would treat his own family, that's how he treated me. And I felt comfortable. I felt positive. I felt like there was some sort of hope. But a new set of eyes meant, you know, he wants to go about things the way he wanted to go about them. And he was a younger guy, older than me, but, at the time, but fairly young. So he was probably up on like the newer innovations when it came to the GI stuff. And that meant more testing, more, I don't know, call it experimenting with medication. And of course, it meant more procedures. So then we go to colonoscopy and endoscopy number 2. There he finds that, in fact, I don't have ulcerative colitis. I have Crohn's disease. And he said, based on what he was seeing, I've been dealing with this for a long time. Like, meaning dealing with Crohn's disease for a long time. Okay, fine, whatever. Like, that, I can't change whatever the past was, but all right, how do we go about fixing it? Dietary changes. Don't eat this, don't eat that. And of course, more oral medications. Didn't work. Zero relief. But I continued seeing him up until I moved from North Carolina in 2005. Because I just, although I didn't feel much relief, I felt comfortable, I trusted him, and never had a reason to, think he didn't know what he was talking about. I felt like there was more, and he felt that there was more that needed to be checked out and come up with more answers. That maybe there's something that he hadn't done yet, or that we hadn't done yet to find out what really is going on. 2005, I moved to Florida. I find a new GI doctor who I had for about, I guess, 8-9 years or whatever. And we start the process all over again. New medications, more testing, and more procedures. They confirmed that I have Crohn's disease. Based on symptoms I told them that I was having. And again, I'm not ashamed of any of this shit. Like, I know I'm not the only person that deals with it, but also told me I had irritable bowel syndrome. Now, I had heard of it, but I don't think I knew what the real definition was. So when I found out like what irritable bowel syndrome was, I was like, shit, I could have told you that 10 years ago, if that's what irritable bowel syndrome is. Okay. More medications. Years of endoscopies and colonoscopies twice a year. Like I said, I think I'm at 52, 53, with the first being in 1999. Do the math. Like, however many that is a year. So I essentially gave up. I continued going to the doctor, but I stopped taking different medications. Some of the medications that were given to me were causing other things to, like, I was experiencing other things that were going on. And so I just stopped taking the medications altogether. And for years, I didn't take anything and just gave up and said, this is how my life is going to be. And I accepted it. Although it gradually changed from a physical disease to one that affected me more emotionally and mentally, which I'd say is the case even to this day. I'm probably a little bit of a control freak. I think that comes from how I grew up, what my surroundings were. I need to be aware of, my surroundings. I need to be in charge of driving because of my stomach issues. I need to be in charge of where I sit in a restaurant because of my stomach issues. Just things like that. So I decided I had had enough, and this is just how I'm going to live. 2014, early 2014, I had my first real surgery. It was for sinus surgery, rhinoplasty, which is some shit with, like some deviated septum or some shit like that. Recovered. Been okay since. October 1st of 2014, I had rotator cuff and labrum surgery on my right shoulder. Just something from, playing baseball, pitching, coaching, throwing, all the years that I did. I retore it in December of 2014. And on March 4th of 2015, I was scheduled for the next surgery to repair the labrum and rotator cuff again. That surgery never took place because that was the morning that I had a pulmonary embolism, which put me on life support for 4 days. At that point, my shoulder, my labrum, my rotator cuff, whatever, that took a back seat. And that event happened, which, I talk openly about, but it happened. 2016, I had a hiatal hernia surgery. That was July 25th of 2016. September 24th of 2016, I had my gallbladder taken out. August of 2018, I had another hiatal hernia surgery because the hernia came back. Since then, I've had surgery for a prostate issue. I've, had other surgeries. I've had the continuous 2 times a year of endoscopy, colonoscopy, no real answers. In, I believe, August of 19, I was recommended to take a biologic medication for my Crohn's disease since the oral medications weren't working. And the first one I took was Entyvio. That was the first time in my life that I felt any sort of relief. For the first time in my life, when somebody would ask me, how do you feel? And I said, I felt good. It just sounded bizarre. Like, how did I just say that? How's that possible? Because 9 times out of 10, and anybody that knows me and asks how I'm feeling, I usually will tell you I'm okay. Mainly because I don't want to complain and I don't want to get into the details of how I really feel. So I'll just say that I'm okay. But I actually was okay. I actually felt good. But that didn't last. It wore off after about a year and a half or so. The doctor said that could happen and switched me to a new one. And now the new one was called Stelara, which you see commercials for on TV. I still take it to this day. Every 4 weeks, I give myself an injection. But I still don't feel right. There's days that are okay, like genuinely okay. Not my lying okay, but there's days that are okay. There's actually some days that are good. But for the most part, almost every day there's some uncomfortableness. There's some, I say uncomfortable, I don't mean pain, but it's just like you can't function and do anything without the stomach stuff interfering. In November of 2022, I did something called a barium swallow test. You, I don't know how to say it. It's like I had to go there, and I was there for a little over 4 hours in the hospital, and they had me eat 2 scrambled eggs and 2 pieces of toast that had some radioactive something. I don't know, something that as it's going through your system, it's like kind of highlighting, and then like they can see it go through your system over the course of the 4 hours. Well, the results came back from that, and it showed that I had something called gastroparesis. I don't have the exact definition of what gastroparesis is, but it's effectively like things don't go through your system the way that they should. However, this was the reverse of what I've dealt with my entire life. Just for an example, by the 4 hour mark, 10% of what I consumed of those scrambled eggs and the pieces of toast, 10% or less should have been in my system. In my case, at the 4 hour mark, 39% of it was left in my system. So it wasn't jiving with like the frequency and urgency that I've dealt with my entire life. So that kind of raised some eyebrows to some doctors, and this past November, I think November 7th of 2023, I had surgery called a G-POEM. Again, I don't have the exact definition in front of me. Essentially, what it was to widen the opening of somewhere down, like from like my stomach to like my small intestines or whatever. Again, look it up if you want to know the specifics. But I had that done in November, and for about 2-3 months, like I felt some sort of relief. I felt like, all right, I can tell this worked because, I'm feeling different than I felt for the last year. That previous year, it's like my entire body like shut down, and I wasn't going to the bathroom, which was foreign to me. I know some people say, oh, I only go a few times a week or whatever. It's no exaggeration. I'm used to going to the bathroom probably 5 to maybe 15 to 20 times a day. That's what I've gotten used to. It sounds crazy, but it is crazy. It's crazy. When I have a doctor's appointment, when the boys have a game, when I have, like, when I'm traveling, or if I have anything to do that's later in the day, I can't eat before that. And I usually don't eat the night before either, which is, a messed up way of going about life, but that's how I adjusted to, be able to function. So that's what I've been doing for the last, 10, 15 years, is just don't eat. Well, then the question that I, like, wanted to know was, if I eat, is like, if anybody that's around me, like my kids, whoever's around me, like, you say, like, oh, you haven't eaten today. You haven't. I don't remember the last time I saw you eat something. So my question naturally was, if I'm not eating the way that I guess I should, if my eating habits are as poor as they are, meaning not eating before I know I have something in the afternoon. Like today, I have nothing to do. I'm going to watch the Yankees. I'm going to go in the pool and watch the Yankees from the pool. And I have nowhere to be later, so I may eat something this afternoon. But my question was, how do I not look like one of those, like, Kenyan, Somalian marathon runners, or those people that you see on the commercials begging for 27 cents a day so that they can eat, and like, you just see, like, skin and bones. Like, how do I not look like that? In fact, like, how do I look the opposite of that? I actually had a doctor tell me, the same doctor, on more than one occasion, you're the case that none of us has studied in school, which was a real kick in the dick, to be honest with you. But it's almost like I kind of felt that way. Like, I've felt that way for years. Like none of this makes sense. Like, nothing makes sense. Why am I not 100 pounds? Why am I not, after all these medications and these surgeries and these different tests, and how am I not better? Well, I decided to, take it a step further, and I wanted to, get another opinion from another gastroenterologist, but within the same practice. He did this G-POEM surgery in November, something I had never heard of. So he did this in November. It worked. Like, I felt better for a couple months, but then January, February, things kind of went downhill quick again. On January 19th, I had a colonoscopy and endoscopy of this year. I swear to you, on February 19th, I had another colonoscopy and endoscopy. That second one was to follow up from the November surgery to see how things had progressed. About 3 weeks ago, I went back to the doctor's office for a follow up for everything, and that's when, answers were given that I hope. There's always a part of me that doubts. I think that's just part of who I am, not just with health stuff, it's with everything. There's always a part of me that doubts, but I'm hopeful that the answers that he gave and the steps that are going to be taken work. It was discovered that although your stomach is an organ, it does have muscles inside of it that help you digest food. It contracts and mixes with like digestive liquids, fluids, to help you, to help the process go through and just come out like any fucking human would do. Well, it was discovered that approximately 70% of my stomach doesn't function. I think it would be a little exaggeration to say stomach failure, but I guess if, I guess in simple terms, 70% of my stomach doesn't function, so it had to have failed at some point. When did that point happen? That was one of the questions I asked the doctor. Like, based on what you see, like, when do you think that occurred? And what does that mean for everything I've been dealing with my whole life? His answers were pretty simple. It's probably something you were born with, which explains the comments from my mother when I was younger that, I'd eat and things would go right through me. My other question was, how does this explain the things I've been dealing with? He's like, well, essentially, there's no functioning, like the muscles that are there in your stomach, they just don't function. So what you eat goes through your body quicker than most people. I then asked, in my sarcastic kind of way, I said, how the hell do I not look like one of those like Somalian marathon runners? How is that? And what he explained to me was that, okay, I can consume food. That doesn't matter the portion of it. I could consume food, but because 70% of my stomach doesn't function and contract to let 100% of what I ate out, only 30% is doing that. So that stagnant part is just sitting there. And what I eat goes right through me. However, the 30% holds on to what I eat. And it recognizes that the other 70% doesn't work. So it holds on to and it stores as fat. So what I'm getting out of me is partially, mostly coming out, but there's part that doesn't. So he sent me for this upper GI double contrast test, whatever, a couple weeks ago. I'm awake for the whole thing. It took a total of 10 minutes, which you have to drink this white, chalky, just fucking gross, thick substance. And as I'm standing there, I'm standing on this bed. Like, the bed, like, does lay back, but at first you stand there. You drink it, and I see on the computer screen in front of me, the doctor's behind a wall doing, looking at the same shit, taking pictures. And I'm seeing this chalky shit that I drank, and I'm seeing it move down, like, the different parts of, my body. I don't know, like, each of the organs by looking at just like an X-ray type screen. I don't know shit like that. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, like, that thing just like flew through. And that was just the first cup of the 2 that I had to drink. That was like the thicker one. He's like, okay, now I need you to do the second cup. Again, it's like this white chalky shit, but this one was a little thinner. It was like diluted. Same thing. And I told him, told the doctor that was doing this test, I said, like, I don't know if this is normal, but I kind of feel like I have to go to the bathroom already. He's like, if you can just like get down this next cup and let me take a few pictures, it'll take 2 or 3 minutes, and then like you're done, and there's a restroom right there for you to use if you need it. Fine. I start talking to myself, just trying to get out of my head the fact that I have to go to the bathroom. I drink the second one, same thing, like, but a little quicker, like seeing it move through my system. And I saw on the screen, like, this patchy area. It looked like, the only way I could describe it is like if, like, Bob Ross, the painter, like with the afro and shit, when he does like his pretty little trees, and he'll use the paintbrush and like just kind of tap, and like somehow trees are formed out of that shit. I don't know how that works, but that's what it looked like on the screen. And I asked, I was like, what is that area, like that foggy looking area down there that looks like Bob Ross's pretty little trees? And he said, that's your small bowel, or small intestine, whatever the hell he said. I don't remember the word. And I said, and this stuff that I just drank is there already? He said, yeah, that's why you feel like you have to go to the bathroom. Okay. Test is over. I had to also swallow some pill that, I guess they see how quick it goes through your system. Again, the process couldn't have been longer than 10 minutes. I go to the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom, and I asked the doctor, I was like, based on what you saw, like, what is it that, what's your conclusion? He said, I have to tell you, in all the years I've done this, I've never seen anything like that. I said, well, the fact that I felt like I had to go to the bathroom, is that kind of like what you're getting at? And he said, yeah. He's like, it like everything just blew through you. Like, just like if you were to go on a water slide, just goes right through you. I'm like, all right, well, that makes a lot of sense, because that happens every fucking time I eat. He's like, well, I'll read the report, or I'll put together a report. I'll send it to your doctor, and you'll have answers in the next couple days. Well, I actually had an answer the next day. My doctor's office called. They said, we got the report from the radiologist at the hospital. Doctor so-and-so, wants to talk to you over the phone about next steps. I said, that's fine. She's like, but the full report is on the patient portal, something I can access like on my app. Jeter's coming in for a visit. So I went and did that. The normal amount of time that it should take for that barium stuff, from the time you ingest it, from the time that it comes out, is 3 to 4 hours. The reason I felt like I had to go to the bathroom after the first cup of it, because it went through my system in 3.1 minutes, whatever the fuck 0.1 minute means, I don't know. 3.1 minutes. This is supposed to be hours, but 3.1 minutes. It's like, okay, again, that makes sense. That jives with, what I feel and what I experience when I eat. Okay, what do we do? Had an appointment with the doctor, and he said, explain the stomach failure part, explain why things go through me, explain why I don't look like one of those marathon runner people. And he said, you have a choice. You can either live the way you have for 45 years, which that's just up to you. It's not like, oh, it's gonna cause anything worse, or anything bad, like worse is gonna happen to you. You can do that, or there's a surgery that can be done. Okay, what is the surgery? At sometime in early June, of this year, I'm going to have 70% of my stomach removed. It's considered like a bariatric surgery, not necessarily like a weight loss surgery. That's going to be one of the effects of it, just because there's that less of my stomach there. Because I've had hiatal hernia surgery, and with that they do a wrap. They put a wrap around like the esophagus, where esophagus attaches to like your stomach and shit. That has to be undone, and it'll all be done in the same surgery. So it's about a 4-hour surgery total. Should be about 2.5, but because of the having to undo the wrap from the hernia surgery, it'll turn into about a 4-hour surgery. Because of my blood clot history, I'll have to stay in the hospital for, I'm sure, 2, 3, 4 days, whatever. But according to the doctor, this should take away any issues that I've ever had for 45 years. To me, that's emotional, because I don't know, I don't really know what that's like. I don't know what that change is going to be like. Of course, I hope it's like a change for the better, and I hope, I finally feel relief. But I'm not scared of surgery. That doesn't faze me at all. I feel that way with anything. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. If something happens, I'm not fearful of that. I'm fearful of the change. The portions of what I eat will be totally different. The foods that I eat will be totally different. The way that I look will be different. He said that this surgery and the after effects of the surgery will probably reduce my body mass by 50 to 60%. You don't need to know what my weight is now, but I can't imagine 50 to 60% of my body mass not being there. I'm sure I'll feel good about it, but it's a drastic change from really all I've ever known. And that change will probably happen over the course of 6 months. Over the course of 6 weeks to about 12 weeks, he said about 25% of my body mass will be gone. And I don't really know what all that means. I don't know, when I eat, what is it gonna feel like? Am I still gonna have to feel like I gotta shit my brains out all the time? I just don't know. But the one thing I know is that it's the first time I've, in all of the years, I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease since 2002. But I know I've had stomach issues my entire life. This is the first time I feel like there's a real answer and an explanation for why I've dealt with all the things that I've dealt with. Stomach related, the shoulder shit or sinus shit or the blood clotting stuff, they're all each their own thing. But this has consumed me. This is when I say I'm a control freak, I'm a control freak. This has completely controlled my life, mainly my adult life, from about 19 to 20 years old on. It affects where I go. It affects when I go. It affects if I go. It affects my kids. It affects my attendance to my kids' events. It clearly affects if I eat, when I eat, what I eat, what time I eat. It affects what time I could make appointments for. If a doctor's office says, "Oh, we have an appointment for you at 8 o'clock in the morning," nope, doesn't work. Can't do it. So like this is all I've known. It's controlled me. It's consumed me. It's all of the above. Like it's just run my life. And to feel like I have answers, and to feel like there's an explanation for what the hell's been going on all this time, it's scary, but at the same time I'm hopeful. There's a few people, when I say a few, I mean literally a few people in my life that have been always supportive. Although I've always felt like an inconvenience to people because of my stomach issues. Whether I cancel plans, whether I see people or haven't seen people in years that I'd love to see on a regular basis, it's because of my stomach issues. But there's a few people in my life that have been supportive through all of this. All of it. Like, the majority of my life. I don't want to start saying names because I know I'll leave somebody out that I don't mean to leave out. But this is what's going on. This is what the next couple months will be like. I decided to not do the surgery sooner because, again, I don't really know what I'm going to feel like afterwards. So in typical me fashion, I decided that I was going to book a Disney cruise and go from Fort Lauderdale to Barcelona in 2 weeks. And spend those 2 weeks on the ship in Europe just enjoying peace, no doctor's appointments, no procedures, no sitting around twiddling my fucking thumbs waiting for surgery to happen. Nothing. So that's what my next couple months look like. I guess we'll see. This is what the rest of my life looks like. And anybody that has sent messages, has texted, has, said prayers, whatever it is that you've done, it's always appreciated. In any instance, I let you guys decide whether I recorded a video or if I wrote it all out. I don't think there's any way I could have written it all out without either missing something or having it carry on to the point where, I just couldn't write anymore. And that's really it. I hope this is the answer. I hope for my kids this is the answer. And I hope that whatever normal it means, whatever normal looks like, I hope there's some sense of normalcy in our lives sometime soon. So again, if you've messaged me, if you've said prayers, if you've watched this fully, I appreciate you. I mean it. If you have questions, ask me. There's no question that's off limits. And that's it. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted, whatever. Fucking delusional. I'll keep you posted on how things go. There's obviously time between now and when this surgery happens. And I'm here. I'm here if you have questions. Thank you again for listening, watching, taking it all in. And those of you that have been supportive over the course of these last 20 plus years, you know who you are. I love you more than I could tell you. I don't know, I'm hopeful for better days further on up the road.